Yo, what is going on, guys? So we are back with another video for you here today, and in this one we're going to be looking at some of the best games to play right now on the iPad Pro. Now these games are going to utilize the hardware of the iPad, so a lot of these will support that 120Hz refresh rate that the iPad Pro has, or at the very least they're going to actually take advantage of the hardware to play these games on the highest settings. If this video ends up helping you out and you end up getting a couple of new games because of it, make sure you guys go ahead and leave a like on the video. It helps me out a ton and it'll help out more people actually watch videos like this. And you might as well go ahead and subscribe as well, because I post daily mobile gaming content, so you'll get something to watch every single day. With all of that out of the way, we can now go into the video. The first game that we're going to be looking at here is Marvel Future Revolution. Now this is one of the best looking games currently on Android and iOS, and on the iPad Pro it looks amazing. Not only can you run this game on the highest settings on the iPad Pro, but it actually has a ProMotion setting so that you can take advantage of the ProMotion display on the iPad and utilize that 120 FPS option. So not only does this game have some of the best graphics available right now on mobile, but you're actually going to be playing it at 120 FPS also on the iPad Pro, so there's really no reason to go ahead and give this game a go. Now there's a ton of great features that make this game worth playing on the iPad Pro besides the great graphics and 120 FPS support. It has full cutscenes, professional voice acting, it's got somewhat of a story that's going on, and it of course is Marvel, so it does have a lot of tie-ins to the MCU when it comes to skins and when it comes to various characters that you will be able to play as. Just one thing to note before you go and play this game is that some of the cosmetics do give you bonus stats and stuff, and a lot of them are grindable, but some of them are locked behind loot boxes, so just keep that in mind. Another thing is the MCU tie-in skins will actually be pretty expensive. For example, the Spider-Man one, which is the Iron Spider from Infinity War and Endgame, that skin in this game cost about $45. So if you plan on spending money on this game, just know that it is a relatively expensive game if you do want all of the skins and characters and stuff like that, but you can go throughout the game without spending any money. And like I mentioned earlier, this is one of the better looking games on mobile currently, and it is going to take advantage of your iPad Pro's hardware. Now the next game on this list is very similar to Counter-Strike, so if you've been looking for a game like CSGO on mobile, then this is definitely one of the ones that you want to look out for. This game is called Critical Ops, and it's a little bit older, but it's still a very popular game, and it basically shares the exact same style of gameplay as Counter-Strike Go, but on the mobile platform. It has very similar shooting mechanics. It has the same thing when it comes to like crouching to improve your aim. It has a lot of the various game modes that are in CSGO, for example the defuse game mode, as well as deathmatch modes that you can just go ahead and play in without having to worry about playing an objective. And it's just a very fun game to actually go and play on mobile. And one great thing about it is that the iPad Pro can handle this game on the highest settings, and it does have a high refresh rate option, which means that you can play it at 120 FPS. So not only do you get a great shooter that's very similar to the Counter-Strike franchise on PC, but you also get to enjoy that nice 120 FPS in this game because of the fact that it supports the ProMotion display. I've played this game on a bunch of different devices, and this is one of the best ways to play because you have that bigger screen, which gives you a lot more room to play, and then of course on top of that you play at a high refresh rate. The next game on this list is Shadowgun Legends. Now this is another game that can be played on the highest settings at 120 FPS on the iPad Pro. This is primarily a first-person shooter, and if you've never played this game before, it's basically the closest thing to the Destiny franchise on mobile. It is a sci-fi based first-person shooter, so you're going to see a ton of aliens and robots and things like that. And then on top of that, it is like Destiny in the sense that the gameplay is very similar as well as the loot mechanics, so you are going to constantly be finding new guns and new armors and stuff to actually improve your character, and you even have the ability to upgrade your character's abilities, that way you can maximize your gameplay. There's a lot of ways to play this game too. Not only does it support touchscreen of course, but it also supports the controller input. So if you want to pair a controller, you can actually go ahead and do that on your iPad Pro. And then on top of that, there are various game modes that you can choose from. Right now I'm playing the single player campaign, but you can play this cooperatively, which means that you can team up with random people online to actually play the campaign missions. And then there is other stuff that you can do like PvP, or of course you can just go ahead and do the various PvE elements of the game, co-op or in single player. This is a really fun game, and it's basically the closest thing that we have to Destiny on the mobile platform, at least until Destiny comes out on mobile. If you've been looking for a game that's similar to Destiny and you've been looking for a game that supports controllers, then this is definitely one that you should look out for on iPad Pro, especially because of the fact that you're going to be able to play with a controller with 120 FPS, and you can play co-op, and you can do all of the various game modes that this game has. It's just a lot of things packed into one game. The next game on this list is called Life After. If you've never heard of this game, it's basically an open world zombie MMORPG where the goal is that you can go ahead and survive against the zombie apocalypse. You can team up with friends, you can join guilds and clans, you can go and do the various story-based missions or the various community events and stuff, and you can even build your own shelter to survive. Now, even though this game is a couple years old, it's still one of the most demanding mobile games available. Most devices have a hard time playing this game on the highest settings while maintaining a steady frame rate. The iPad Pro, however, is one of those few devices that can run the game on higher settings and still maintain 60 FPS. There currently is no 120 FPS option, but for a game like this, it's not completely necessary, and you have to remember that this is an open sandbox experience, so it is a bit harder to run those type of games at 120 FPS. But what that makes up for in this game is the fact that it has one of the best graphics available right now on mobile, even though it isn't a necessarily new game. Now, even though this game is a few years old, it's still one of the more popular MMORPGs on mobile, so it still gets updated all the time. There's still a bunch of content to catch up on, and there's still a bunch of content being added to the game all the time. It's also a very unique game, especially for mobile. There's not very many zombie MMORPGs available across platforms, especially on the mobile platform, so it's something that really stands out if you've been looking for something that's like an MMO, but you wanted something in a post-apocalyptic zombie setting. There are a few more games coming out like this in 2022, but until then, Life After really is the only one that's available to play right now, and it's an excellent game to get started in because of the fact that you have so much content to go through, and because of the fact that the game is being updated still all the time. Another great MMO to play on iPad Pro is Era of Legends. This game can run on the absolute maximum settings on the iPad Pro and still maintain a nice smooth 60 FPS. This is going to be another case where there is no ProMotion option to allow you to play at 120 FPS, but it makes up for it in having a really good looking art style and really great graphics. I've tried this game out on a couple of different devices, and none of them were able to handle it as smoothly as the iPad Pro, especially with all of those graphics settings enabled. Now, as for the type of game that this is, it is of course an MMORPG like I mentioned earlier, and if you haven't been able to tell by now, it is very clearly inspired by World of Warcraft. It has a very similar art style and presentation, but it does have its own unique story and gameplay, so if you've been looking for something like World of Warcraft but on mobile, then this is definitely a game to consider. Another thing I want to mention about this game that makes it stand out just a little bit more compared to other mobile MMORPGs is the fact that the soundtrack is actually very, very good. I actually found myself cranking up the volume a little bit higher than I normally do just because I wanted to appreciate the music that was going on as I explored the world. It was just something that stood out to me, and I've played a few MMOs now on mobile, and none of the music that I've listened to in those various MMOs has really stood out to the point of me singling it out and trying to hear it a little bit more by turning up the volume and stuff. So it was something that caught me by surprise with this game. You know, it was something that I wasn't really expecting. But those are just 5 more games that are best played on the iPad Pro. If this video ended up helping you out, or if you enjoyed the video, make sure you guys go ahead and leave a like and subscribe for more daily mobile gaming content. I will definitely be making more videos like this to showcase which games will take full advantage of the iPad Pro. So if you're interested in watching those, make sure you guys go ahead and subscribe. But anyway, with all that being said, thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you in the next one.